There is a crisis unfolding across the African continent. And this is a crisis that is very significant because it is not discussed. So while the world is focusing on economics, is focusing on politics, technology, there's something very fundamental to who we are as Africans that is sleeping away, is going away. And often there is not much notice, and that is our languages. Our languages are getting extinct, our languages are dying. So I've been reflecting on this because I believe it is time we have an honest conversation and talk about it. And this conversation should not be filled with panic or some simple nostalgia, but they should be grounded in clear observation, some difficult truth, and genuine curiosity about what the future might hold. I want us together to examine the facts and look at them step by step and maybe ask ourselves the questions that truly matter. Um, to understand the problem, we can begin with the astonishing reality of Africa's linguistic heritage. We know Africa is a continent and is a home to roughly 2,000 distinct languages. That is nearly one third of all languages spoken by humanity today. Nigeria alone has more than 500. Cameroon, they have nearly 300. And these languages range from the melodic tonal systems of West Africa to these extraordinary click consonants of the Khoisan people in South Africa. I'm sure you've heard of them. And this diversity, it represents one of the humanity's greatest intellectual treasures, in my opinion, because each language is not simply a different way of saying the same things. Languages, they are different windows into reality itself. They carry these unique concepts, um, philosophies, moral frameworks, and the knowledge systems that have been developed over centuries of lived experiences. We know languages, they tell us how different communities understood time, family, nature, and the spiritual world in ways that may have no direct equivalent elsewhere. So languages are pretty important, and the issue that they are getting extinct slowly, I think, is concerning for all Africans. But as one examines the current situation more closely, I, you will realize this troubling pattern that I think becomes very impossible to ignore, especially when you look at Africa. Because the truth is, as I was saying, hundreds of these languages, particularly the smaller ones, let me be clear on that, they are classified as vulnerable or sometimes endangered or critically endangered. And the global linguistic surveys, they also show that up to 10% of African languages could cease to be spoken within 10 to 80 years if this pattern keeps on being like this. And this is a part of a larger global phenomena where languages are vanishing at a rate of roughly one every 2 weeks. And this is troubling. And so I want to be precise here. And I want to be precise because I think accuracy matters and because nuance is very important. So, what I'm saying here does not mean that African languages as a whole is dying. I think that is very far from reality because we know some of our major languages are thriving and they are expanding. Swahili continues to grow as a lingua franca across East Africa. Hausa, Yoruba, Zulu, Amharic, and Wolof. Each of these languages, they have millions of speakers. They have strong institutional support. So these languages are living, they are breathing, and they are adapting to the modern world. And I think they serve as a powerful unifying force. So it is important to notice this. But the real crisis is actually concentrated among the smaller languages. These languages that are not spoken by communities, I mean, they're spoken by communities or hundreds of people, or in some cases, maybe just a handful of people, especially elders. I want to give you some concrete examples that I think would illustrate this human dimension in the story. For example, in South Africa, there is the language Nu. I think it's Nuu, if that's how you spell it. It's one of the last Khoisan language with its characteristic click sounds. So it stands critically endangered, and for years it has hovered over the edge with only few elderly fluent speakers. But what strikes me and makes me happy about it is that even here, there is a quiet revival efforts that are going on behind the scenes. I'm sure you have seen some young members of the Khoisan community that are beginning to learn the language again, and that they are supported by this project that connect the language to the land rights and cultural heritage. So this is a good thing. You go up a little bit in Ethiopia, there is the Ongota language that is spoken by fewer than, I think, 10 people, fewer than 10 people. You can imagine. The linguists, they consider this language as a language isolate. It is unrelated to any other family on earth. So its potential loss would mean a permanent disappearance of a complete way, a complete unique form of human expression.